welcome back to Sports Talk with Dad after an unfortunate, unplanned long layoff. My name is Kyle, and as always, I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who was alive to see Babe Ruth hit his first home run, my dad, Tim.
I wish I would have been alive to see that, just because it would have been fun to see it. I could have lived through two plagues, not including the one that you and I just went through.
Yeah, so our unfortunate layoff was due to an unfortunate plague that seemed to hit our family and our family only, at least in the way it did. I mean, I was sick for a week and a half. You, I think, died at one point. I'm pretty sure your heart must have stopped, or at least you stopped breathing at one point. I don't know what affected me. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I was death, and then you over here getting pneumonia and refusing to go to the doctor.
I called the doctor. I got a prescription eventually.
Yeah, after pleurisy set into your lungs. Yeah, that was great.
You actually came over to check and see if I was alive, and I was touched about that. Thank you.
You didn't answer me.
You couldn't have understood me if I did.
I told my wife that I'm pretty sure he's dead.
I had no voice from Monday last week through Friday last week.
Yeah.
I had no voice.
You know, my wife lost her voice. Grayson lost his voice. Jack even lost his voice for a little bit. I never lost my voice, but man.
You were on your back.
I couldn't move. I don't know what the heck ended up in our family. I know it wasn't COVID, but...
It wasn't COVID. We all did the test, so we were fine that way.
Whatever it was, decided... I'm going to kill you now. And it did its best. And luckily, we are still standing here, and we are still here to talk about sports with you guys today. So I appreciate your patience, but trust me, you would have not wanted to listen to a show with us the last 2 weeks because I probably would have paused to vomit at least twice in every single show.
And I would have been like, and would have gotten a sound out. So...
It was pretty bad. I did get to catch up on some terrible old movies that I have not watched in a long time, which I am very, very grateful for.
Such as
Top Gun, which is not a terrible movie. It's a great movie.
May 27th, Maverick comes out. I can't wait.
May 27th, Stranger Things Season 4 Part 1 comes out.
Yeah, whatever. Maverick comes out with Iceman in it.
It is. Top Gun was playing quite a bit for me at the house. I watched Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which
classic
is an amazing, terrible movie.
You watch Howard the Duck?
I tried.
That is one of the worst ever.
That is a really bad movie. I made it to the scene where the duck and the lady start to have relations.
Yeah, okay. That nobody needs to hear that.
I was like, I am out. I want nothing to do with this. I watched the Babe Ruth movie with John Goodman.
Bad movie.
John Goodman was great.
He was fine, but it was a bad script.
It was a very bad script. But I did watch some great movies too. I watched League of Their Own was on. Hoosiers was on. What else was on? I watched a bunch of movies. I just sat there. I don't even think I was awake for 90% of them. I just had them on in the background.
I caught up on season 12 of Blue Bloods because I had all of them recorded.
What is with people your age and Blue Bloods?
It's a great show. I grew up with all the old good cop dramas from back in the day. Remember Magnum P.I., so I love Tom Selleck.
Yep.
And it's really the only TV show I watch on regular TV.
Well, it's you and your entire generation.
Is it really?
Like you are not alone. Every single person your age that I have ever spoken to or ever heard talk about watch Blue Bloods. Like that is a thing your generation is obsessed with. Nobody my age watches Blue Bloods.
It's just a smart drama. I mean, it's about a cop family with a daughter that's a district attorney, and it's the interaction. It's a grittier crime fighting show. They don't gloss over the stuff like some of the old ones. But I don't know. I just have always liked it.
No, that's fair. That's very much a generational show. I've tried watching it, and it's not a bad show. I could never watch it religiously like you do, though. And maybe that's something to do with me not willing to sit down and watch a TV show on a regular basis.
Probably.
But I don't know. It's a weird one. But you watch Blue Bloods. I got movies. We are back, though, because we also did watch sports. I tried watching the USFL. There is nobody watching those games in the stands.
It's
There's nobody. They are literally playing in front of 0 fans.
it's worse than when COVID was going on. There's nobody there,
No,
and it's not good football. I'm sorry.
it's not terrible football.
It's far from good.
But
It's
it's-
not acceptable football.
It's a high school game.
Yeah.
It's like if you take all the best athletes from high school and put them together and play. The ball's different, and I think that affects some of the quarterback play because apparently it's a weighted ball because it has a tracker in it. So I think that affects some of the quarterback play. But it is, to me, it's no different than watching a high school game. I'd rather watch a Division I college game or definitely an NFL game. You've done nothing but give me a weaker product.
Well, and they're going to try, I guarantee you, they're going to try to force some of the people that are on USFL teams into the NFL to make it legitimate.
That's the goal.
I just don't see this lasting. It is not anywhere close to the original USFL where they really had great talent.
Well, you had Reggie White, you had Steve Young, you had Herschel Walker, you had what's his name who played for Georgia, not Herschel Walker, the other
Walker, one. Yeah, Jim Kelly from the.
Jim Kelly was there.
Did you said Steve Young?
Steve Young.
There was a ton of talent.
It was legitimate talent. There were 2 separate drafts, and then it was a fight to sign them, which is great football. This is not. I mean, this is guys that aren't even good enough to be on the practice squad. I mean, think about it. You're making $400,000 a year, or $400,000, a year, sitting on a practice squad. Versus what are you making? $4,500 a game to be on an opening day roster.
And now next year or whenever the XFL is going to come back
next year, and apparently they're going to try and steal all the talent that the USFL has. But I can't imagine that it's going to be a better product. But hopefully, they put fans in the stands. I tell you what, Rock is an actual entertainer. He understands entertainment. He understands it from the wrestling side. He understands it from the movie side. So if anybody's going to take what they have and turn it into something entertaining to watch, I believe it's going to be him.
It's got to be better than what we're seeing now. They're trying to play this as straight football with a couple bells and whistles. And I'm sorry, but it's just not playing out that way.
Hi. Apparently the dog's coming to say hi, so I appreciate the visit. Bye, puppy.
Bye, Coop.
That is the dog, by the way, I didn't want. This is the dog I wanted nothing to do with.
He's a great dog.
He's
going to be watching the rest of the show.
Apparently he's hanging out with us for the rest of the show. So but the USFL I tried to watch. I couldn't do it. It just wasn't my thing. I know people that have been more into it, but again, if I'm going to watch I'd rather watch spring practice than watch the USFL. You are very distracting today.
Alabama spring football is better. Wisconsin Badger, any Big Ten team has got better spring football than what we've
any
seen.
Division I team, most Division II teams are going to be more competitive than that. I don't think half the guys even necessarily want to be there. I think they're just doing it because it's a paycheck, and you can clearly see it.
Well, and they want to look. Anybody's going to want to play pro football. They think there's going to be a shot to the NFL at the end of the rainbow, and that's why they're there.
None of those quarterbacks are going to the NFL.
I don't see it. I don't
Not
see
a single one of them.
I don't see even a good backup.
No, I don't even see a good practice squad player. Like, they're settled where they are now. I mean, if Baker Mayfield can't start in the NFL right now, none of those guys in the USFL are going to start.
Speaking of Baker Mayfield, when is this guy going to get a roster spot and get on a team? Because
the Browns are not getting rid of him. It is not happening. He will sit there as a second-string quarterback behind Jacoby Brissett or start for the Cleveland Browns next year. They're not doing anything.
That's your prediction.
That's what's going to happen. If he was going to be traded, he would have been traded.
You would have thought so, and
they're not going to release him.
Well, you say what you want about him. The guy was a legitimate NFL quarterback.
He still is a legitimate NFL quarterback, which is why he's still on a roster. If he wasn't a legitimate NFL quarterback that the Browns thought, hey, maybe this guy can win a few games for us, then he wouldn't be playing. But they have him in a situation where if you're going to play and start for the Browns, you're going to do the best you can because you're auditioning for your next team.
Correct.
So the Browns are in a no-lose situation here. Obviously,
Deshaun
Watson isn't playing next year. He's meeting with the NFL this week, so we'll see what happens there. That could be interesting.
He can't possibly be allowed to play next year. Just can't.
He definitely won't play next year. They have to set a precedent for situations like this. But if the conversations go well with the NFL, that's when I could see Baker Mayfield possibly getting released. But even then, he's not playing next year. Baker Mayfield's going to have to suck it up at this point. Yes, you got lied to. Yes, you played hurt because they convinced you it was a good idea, and you shouldn't have.
Right.
Because it hurt your stock. But that's how the game works. It just is what it is, and you're on this team. You're getting paid a lot of money to be out there to play football. You got to strap up those laces and just go.
I was shocked that Seattle didn't make a real play for him.
What are they going to... You're not giving up a first-round draft pick for Baker Mayfield right now. And that's what Cleveland was going to ask for.
You're not going to give up the first round. You'll give up a couple seconds. Seattle's got to do something about the quarterback. You can tell me all you want that they are comfortable with what they have. I don't believe they're going into the season with what they have.
Drew Lock will be the starting quarterback for...
He probably will be,
Seattle
but
Seahawks.
They're going to need to get somebody else.
The Packers have clearly decided not to trade Jordan Love, so he's off the table, which I think is a smart move. You got to have a backup quarterback, and clearly they think Jordan Love can win a couple games for him if something happens to Rodgers. For the backup quarterbacks that are out there, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to roll with Jordan Love, or are you going to roll with, why am I blanking names right now?
Ben Kirk.
Not Ben Kirk. Dude for the Jaguars, AFC Championship.
Blake Bortles.
Are you going to roll with Blake Bortles as your backup? I mean, at that point, Jordan Love has more upside to win games.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Give me Blake Bortles in that Kansas City game all day long over what we saw from Jordan Love.
Jordan Love looked bad in that Kansas City game.
It was awful.
But at the same time, if you really want to trade Jordan Love, say you want to trade him next year, and you bring in somebody else to be your backup, I mean, that doesn't look very good.
Still a lot of things that need to shake out. I honestly, and we talked about this briefly today, I think the signing of Alexander was brilliant by the Packers. Had to be done. He's
$31 million signing bonus.
But only a $7 million cap.
Oh, what a beautiful signing. I got to think more of them are going to be like that.
I think so, too. I don't think that the Packers wanted to re-sign Davante Adams.
You mentioned this to me, and I can't imagine you wouldn't want to re-sign Davante Adams.
Okay. Just hear the logic with me. Packers never have traditionally signed people to that third really big contract.
Normally.
They did it with Bakhtiari, and it bit them hard in the behind.
They did it with Donald Driver.
True. Okay, there's one that side, but Bakhtiari is the most recent. And
they did it with Aaron Rodgers.
Quarterbacks are different. Adams, I think they are comfortable letting him go because they think they can replace him. They got a couple good. I was impressed with the Packers draft. All the Packer fans out there, they were right to go with defense the first two picks. They got a great pickup in the second round with the kid from North Dakota State. I think he's going to step in. He's been very impressive. And granted, it's been just rookie OTLs. But I think they're set. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick up Julio Jones.
He's still out there. Landry's off the table. He's going to the Saints.
So I just... If the Packers wanted to sign Adams, they would have signed him last summer.
Packers have decided we're going to win with defense. That's what the Packers have decided. This is a defensive team. We are going to win with defense and defense only. And
not only. You still have...
Let me put it this way. We're going to win with defense, and Aaron Rodgers is going to have to do what we just paid him $50 million to do.
Yes, but don't forget, the Packers still have probably one of the best backfields in all football.
That is, as long as everybody can stay healthy.
I'm not blaming... what's his name for getting a broken rib?
A.J. Dillon.
Thank you. My mind just went blank. I'm thinking Aaron Jones, and it's like,
I couldn't think of Blake Bortles. Yeah. You couldn't think of A.J. Dillon.
They've got They've got the best thunder and lightning running back situation any team's had in years.
They do. They're going to have to make a run. I do not believe at all the Packers will be a number one seed this year in the playoffs. If anything, they'll win the division.
Not according to some people who are picking today. There's a lot of people are taking Minnesota again.
Minnesota is not going to do anything.
I think the Packers are going to win the division. I think they will be a number 2 seed at best.
So you agree with me? They're not going to be the number 1 seed.
I do and I don't because I could see. I still have a lot of faith in LaFleur. It's really going to be his offense from the first time.
It is. Yeah, Rodgers doesn't have a safety net now. I mean, his safety net has become Sammy Watkins and Alan Lazard and a new kid who, that's what I'm worried about, is this guy's from North Dakota State, right? It's a small school. The dude's got massive hands. He catches with his hands, which is what you need to do in Green Bay in the cold. I just that's a big speed difference, and to expect him to do anything but be your number 3 or number 4 receiver the first year is you're just sorely mistaken. Nothing's going to come of that. He's not going to put up big numbers this year.
It's until the second half of the year. You're not going to see
won't.
much of first pick. Packers have done very well with these guys. Kind of
Later
guys.
on.
Devontae, I know, but Jordan Nelson came out and was productive within the
Here's a
first
trivia
year or
question
two.
for you. So the Packers have had Jordy Nelson, they had Randall Cobb, they had James Jones, and they had
Jones was the
Devontae
best of all
Adams.
of them.
Who had the best rookie season?
James Jones,
You know how many yards he had?
under 1,000.
670 yards receiving.
If you bring in Julio Jones, I think the Packers would be happy getting 500 or 600 out of the kid.
I agree, but that being said, those guys were definitely Packer Hall of Famers and some of the best receivers in the league at that time when the Packers offense was explosive as it was. Yet they didn't have high-performing rookie years as second and third round picks.
You're putting a lot of pressure on the kid. I'll give him that because he's really. There are no, as you said, no safety nets. Rodgers just got to figure this one out because he doesn't have. And I'll tell you the other reason why I think the Packers just said we aren't doing this is Rodgers was falling into the Brett Favre, Sterling Sharp trap we saw a generation ago where there was one target.
Matt Stafford, Calvin Johnson. We've had that conversation. We've had that argument. I don't buy it. I just don't. You're telling me that I don't want the best receiver in the league on my team. Yeah. It didn't cost him a game.
Oh, it did.
Having Devontae Adams didn't cost them the game. Aaron Rodgers refusing to look at another receiver cost us the game.
I'll grant you that. However, when Sharp went down, Favre got to be a much better quarterback.
When Calvin Johnson retired, Matthew Stafford became a much better quarterback. Blah, 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 blah. That's not what made him a better quarterback. They threw to the best option on the field because that's their job.
Well, and
it's
it's
like
people
looking
for other options for the first
it's
time.
It's like people talking about Justin Fields when he came out of college. This guy never looks past his first option. Well, yeah, because his first option is always open.
True.
Why am I going to look anywhere else? It's the same thing with Sterling Sharp. It's the same thing with Calvin Johnson. It's the same thing with Devontae Adams. If they're always open, why am I going to throw the ball anywhere else?
And yet there were guys open in that game against San Francisco.
There were. Listen, Rodgers choked. We've talked about that.
He did choke.
It is the John Candy Cool Runnings bit where you had him and you choked. I mean, that's just what that was. But now he's got his $50 million contract, which, by the way, does prove that this was about respect in the form of money. Because man, has that guy's tone changed now that he's getting paid $50 million a year.
Yes.
Now the organization, they're a smart organization. They'll figure it out versus I want to be a part of the conversation. Listen, I'll take Aaron Rodgers on my team all day long. But man, that was a different conversation all of a sudden once he got paid.
I do think he's more involved. Make no mistake. I think he knew who the Packers were going to draft. You could tell that in his what he did with
there was no doubt in Aaron Rodgers' mind that we were going defense with the first 2 picks. And clearly, smartly, that conversation was had with him beforehand that says, we're not trading up to get a receiver. There's plenty of them in this draft. We will trade up in the second round if we have to, but we're taking defense in the first round.
And they did trade up to probably get the best. It was going to be either the guy from North Dakota State, which I'm sorry for forgetting his name, or the kid from Central Michigan.
Right.
I think they got the better of the two.
I do too. He's a hand catcher. He's had some issues with drops, but he is fast. He is a good route runner. Again, it's going to be about the speed. And with the Packers re-signing Jair Alexander, you're putting out one of the better secondaries in the league. If Stokes can take that next step, you have Amos, who's still playing really well, really good football. You have that front line that you just gave Kenny Clark a lot of help with.
Yep.
This is all about defense. We're going to win a lot of games 9-3.
I don't want to see that, but I think you're right. So
the biggest issue with the Packers is special teams, and are the guys that they drafted later in rounds going to make the difference on special teams?
I think they finally have a coach that get special teams.
Well, because they have an
They're
actual special
drivable.
teams coach,
Correct.
not a guy who has never done special teams before, but he wants to be an NFL head coach, so he'll do special teams.
So, we've talked football. I want to talk Baumgartner baseball for a minute.
Oh, you mean the fact that we need robot umpires calling balls and strikes?
No, that we need to have umpires that don't take a cursory look at one team's pitcher and they start messing with this guy's hand like they're giving him a hand massage when clearly nothing is there. I don't blame Baumgartner for what he did.
Baumgartner got mad because the balls and strikes were being called very poorly. And then the first base umpire decided he was going to check his hand and made a point of it. But here's my thing. Like, whatever. We're all humans. That's a whole thing. Baumgartner's allowed to say something and walk away. And that's all he did. He said something and he walked away. And that's how Baumgartner has been his whole career. You throwing him out for saying something to you as he's walking away immediately, like, come on, dude.
It was a bad look for the umpire because he had rabbit ears. I'm sure his precious little ears have heard the words that Baumgartner said to him.
Yeah.
And Baumgartner had a point. If you're not going to check the other guy, why are you checking me? And why are you keep checking me? I don't need a hand massage right now. Let me get in the dugout.
Right. I'm sure he said something along the lines of, I hope you got to check enough. Thank you, sir, for checking so diligently and taking the game so seriously. I mean, I don't know why an umpire would throw somebody out for saying something so kind, but clearly that's what happened.
I felt bad for him. It was a ridiculous look for baseball. And
it's been ridiculous looks for baseball. The umpires are terrible.
They are not good. Most of them are outstanding. There's a couple of them that are bad.
Home plate umpire is the issue. I mean, we had this conversation, right?
Yeah, and you were wrong.
97% of the calls that umpires make in the field are absolutely correct. But the balls and strikes are missed on a regular basis, and the consistency is not there. And that's where pitchers are getting frustrated. If I'm going to throw a pitch in the lower left-hand side of the plate all game long, and it's a strike, you can't now look at me in the 5th, 6th, 7th, all the way to the 9th inning and now change your mind.
You're absolutely right.
And that's where, again, we've had the conversation about robot umpires, right? Are robot umpires going to be perfect? No, there's going to be things that are probably going to be off. But what are they going to be? They're going to be consistent within the strike zone. If it's a strike once, it's going to be a strike again.
Okay, and now I am going to sound like the old guy baseball fan.
Because you are.
Fine. I'll accept it in this case. I don't want to lose the art of the catcher who has to frame something coming in. And I just don't. Angel Hernandez is a horrific umpire that watches the catcher's glove instead of watching the ball.
Right. But the art of that is gone, though. Wilson Contreras is one of the last players that actually frames pitches.
That's not true. I've seen other ones do it.
He's let me put it this way. He's one of the last guys that's really mastered that. And Yadier Molina, he's really good at it too.
Yes, he is.
But they're focusing more on hitting. And listen, if it's going to make baseball more watchable, where it's consistent, like you gotta lose things in baseball to make it better. At this point, it's not working.
And we've talked about that, and we've got it. By the way, if anybody wants to watch something really fun, the Savannah Bananas of the minor league or independent league. I watched a video of a 1.5 inning. They got out of the whole half inning in 2 minutes. The batter was in the box. The pitcher threw the pitch. There were some other theatrics with it I didn't need, but check out the videos. The Savannah Bananas, it was a fun half inning to watch because they just threw and hit, and that was it. So that's the end of that for baseball. Steve Stricker.
The Savannah
Bananas.
That may be my new favorite team name of all time.
Guess what their uniforms are colored?
Brown.
No, they're yellow.
Oh. I thought you were trying to trick me.
No, I'm not.
Yellow pants?
The whole thing. They look like bananas.
Oh, that's tough, man.
Yeah, it's not a good look. But
is the dot on their helmet brown?
I didn't
look.
The
dot on their hat?
I didn't look. I don't want to look.
Because that would be perfect.
Check it out. It probably is. These guys, I mean, I was in the minor leagues and was in marketing in the minor leagues. These guys do it right.
Yeah,
These games look like fun. So Steve Stricker comes through after, speaking of being ill, and wins the tradition last weekend, the first senior major. I love senior golf. It's fun. It's more relatable.
And you're old.
What? No. Steve Stricker's a class act. As sick as he was, it was great to see him win. So congratulations, Steve.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about the PGA, which starts in a couple days. Tiger's going to play.
Tiger is going to play.
Phil, we need out. Phil's being called out by people for not showing up.
Phil Mickelson is an interesting human being.
He is that. I mean, that's a good way to put it. I have got a problem with this whole Saudi. Like, if you're going to start something up, an alternative golf tour, do it with some decent human beings and not some of the worst people on the planet, which everybody knows that Saudi Arabia's government is not good. Human rights are atrocious. Look it up. Anyways, Phil made a bad choice, and I think Greg Norman made a bad choice by getting into bed with these kind of people.
Hey, listen, you got to make your choices, but you at some point can have class in the way you leave something. Like, there's nothing wrong if you want to go and support another tournament. I'm sure they paid him a lot of money, which, good for you. Chase the almighty dollar, capitalism, America, hoorah, I don't care. But you don't have to be a jerk about it. Like, why are you calling out the PGA Tour? Like, you're biting the hand that fed you.
Right.
Right before the tournament, by the way, that you just won last year.
You were a hero less than 12 months ago. You won the tournament at the age of 50 or just about 50.
Go to another tournament. I don't care. Competition isn't a bad thing, but why are you calling out all these issues with the PGA that you've never complained about before? Why are you calling out all these issues with the PGA, a tournament that has made you a multi-millionaire and a household name and get all this money from marketing? Like, how much money did they pay you to do this? I mean, to be fair, if they gave him $250 million, listen, I'm going to bash the PGA Tour as well. I'll bash my own creation, Sports Talk with Dad, for $250 million. I'm all in. But there's still ways to do it with class. And I wouldn't, by the way. I love Sports Talk with Dad. I love talking to you.
God.
You're awesome. I'm just joking. But in reality, $250 million is a lot of money. But
sponsors, if you're there, please come and talk to us.
$250 million, you know? I mean, I'll wear Saudi stuff. But I'm already putting it in my car. I might as well.
Wow. Okay.
But why are you acting the way that you are? Like, you should be here at this tournament. You were on pace to be. It was going to be Tiger and Phil, right? Tiger and Phil were going to take over for Arnie and Jack and really ride this tournament to the sunset. Sergio Garcia's all of a sudden talking trash about the PGA Tour. He's going to Saudi. Another guy who could have easily been a part of those par 3 tournaments as he retired and rode off into the sunset. And you are just. Where's your class? Like, right. What's the point in this?
It comes down to the point, what price do you have on your integrity? I mean,
$250 million.
Well, whatever it is. But, they asked Jack Nicklaus first to be the face of this tour. And he's like, I started the PGA Tour. I'm not going to do this. We built this. If there are issues, fix it from within, but don't slam.
Well, I don't blame Greg Norman for going and running this tournament. He's been out of golf. He was asked to run this thing. He sold his company to come and do this. Like, that's fine. Like, you do you. But when you're still playing in the PGA Tour, and it just, why?
His legacy, everybody loves second chances, as we all say.
Yeah.
But his legacy has been tarnished. He should have been that guy teeing off at the beginning of the Masters in a few years where Tiger will be. And that's the interesting thing about Tiger.
Right.
Everybody says how he's this trailblazer. He's this rogue guy. He is establishment as establishment comes.
He is.
Arnie set the bar. He is the king because not only of his golf, but how much money he brought into the tour. Tiger took that and put an ionic rocket on the back of it and took it to whole new levels.
He did.
And he is going to be there. If there are problems with the tour, he's going to be there. But right now, that tour is giving him his second chance, and he's not going to bite that hand.
No, and nor should you. By the way, I can get a Savannah Bananas jersey for $75. I may have found myself a new present. I can get a T-shirt for $25. I actually really like this jersey.
Okay, reel you back into golf for a minute. Talk bananas later.
It's Grayson Stadium.
Would you stop?
Anyways, back to Tiger Woods. Yeah, I mean, it's great to see Tiger back there. I don't know how he's going to do. You know, I was the guy that was sitting there in the Masters saying, Tiger, just call it quits on Sunday.
He was in so much pain.
You have nothing to prove here. This is ugly golf. This isn't you. But he wanted his Rocky moment, right? He wanted to finish. And I completely respect that. But that was hard to watch. He was in so much pain, and it was tough. But we're in Tulsa now. There's no hills in Tulsa. It's very flat.
Okay.
It's Tornado Alley. I'm assuming it's flat. I've never been in Tulsa, but I've been in Texas.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be.
Say I was born in Texas.
It's going to. You weren't.
No, but it's a good song.
Yeah, it was. But it's going to be. It'll be good tournament. It'll be.
Were
an
they
easier
born
one.
in Oklahoma?
Would you stop?
Sorry.
It's going to be an easier one for him to walk. Obviously, the British Open is going to be an easy one to walk.
At St. Andrews. And of course, he knows really well.
Correct. And then the U.S. Open's at Brookline, which is a tight course. I'm not sure how hilly it is in Massachusetts, but
I don't know enough about that course either.
It's good to see him back.
Listen, I want him to win one more tournament. It doesn't have to be a major. I just want him to win one more tournament so he can break Snead's record. They're tied at 82 right now. I'd like to see him get 83 and hold that record all on his own. Would I like to see him have the comeback of the century and break Jack's record? I would. And I think Jack at this point would like to see that and respect that because he's been dealing with injuries nonstop throughout his career. We talked about that, right? Athletics, when it comes to weightlifting, has come so far where he was really the first one to do it. He was
Gary Player was the first one to do it. But he was the only one. He was the only one to do it.
Gary Player was very much more about core, right, and doing sit-ups and making sure that was strong. Tiger Woods was about strength. I'm going to hit this thing 400 yards. He was the first one to really go that route, and he just got too big, and he didn't stretch enough or whatever it may be, and his body, unfortunately, gave way on him. I really want one of these banana jerseys.
And then he came back from the most horrific accident since Ben Hogan's. So just
the fact that he still has a leg
is a tribute to the fact that he's Tiger Woods.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an interesting few weeks in sports since we've been here.
We've missed a lot. The Bucks are out, which is sad.
The Bucks.
Chris Middleton being hurt cost the Bucks more than I thought it would because their bench all of a sudden couldn't make a shot.
Coddington and Grayson Allen were
they let us
awful.
Down. It
was awful.
It was really bad.
And I asked you earlier, PJ Tucker is still playing. If the Bucks have him on the team, would that have been that somebody who was instant lightning and can make a couple shots? I mean,
that's what Bobby Portis has been. And PJ Tucker was never the guy that could make a couple shots. That was Bobby Portis for us last year. PJ Tucker was great defense, but I mean, I'm not going to rely on PJ Tucker to make a shot. That's not why he's there. He's like the goon in hockey.
I tell you one thing we do need. Well, we needed a goon.
Giannis is our goon now.
No. He's the most talented.
Giannis is the greatest player in the NBA, and he 100% proved that.
And I tell you what, the one thing I will say, Brook Lopez better be back on the Bucks because they needed him.
He was a difference maker. The problem is he's getting old and his back's bad now. He just had surgery. They got to do some changes in the team. You got to get somebody in there that can make those shots. I mean, it was a good run. I mean, Giannis said it best. You know, a lot of people gave the Bucks last year the Bucks a lot of crap last year for their championship, saying, well, people were hurt and this and that. And Giannis said it best when he said, people gave us a lot of flack last year because people were hurt. Don't forget, we were missing our number 2 this year.
Right. And Chris Middleton would have made the difference.
Yeah,
he would have had one of those. He probably would have won them game 6, so game 7's not even an issue.
He would have made a bigger difference. It would have given Giannis some more room at least because you had to respect Chris Middleton's game.
Right.
But, I mean, the Celtics and the Heat is going to be an awesome series. I'm actually excited to watch that. You have the Mavericks coming out. I would love to see Luka go to a championship. That would be really great. I don't think
it's
stand
happening.
A chance against Golden State.
No, I think it's going to be Golden State, and it's going to. I don't know who's going to come out. Boston's taking their game to another level.
They've been the best team since January 4th. They've been the best team offense and defense in the NBA.
So I think they're going to get over Miami.
I never bet against Jimmy Butler.
True.
I've seen him too many times do some amazing things. He'd have a good team. I also think the Celtics are going to go. I think it's going to be a better series than I even anticipated it to be. I don't think this is going to go any shorter than 6 games.
I think Golden State's going to win in the end.
Golden State could sweep. Let's be honest. I mean, Golden State could easily sweep the Dallas Mavericks, and I think they're going to win the championship as well. They have a primary logo Savannah Bananas sweatshirt for $45.
Well, and we need to wrap it up, but I do want to. We love it when we get letters from our listeners and viewers. And
letters? We've never gotten a letter.
We got an email.
It's like Blue's Clues. We just got a letter. We just got a letter.
Oh,
we just got a letter.
You just went back to 4 years old again.
Wonder who it's from.
So it was one of our viewers who had an issue with our overrated Derek Jeter comment.
I want to point out, number one, I said Derek Jeter had a .310 average and was a great hitter.
He did. He was nice. Derek Jeter was a nice player, but here's the only
I don't want to get lumped into this overrated average hitter thing. That was not my take.
Okay, fine. Here's the only thing I'm going to say to you about that, and then we'll close out the show. But my point on this is Derek Jeter wasn't even the best shortstop on his own team.
You're looking at the wrong camera. It's that one.
Okay, Derek Jeter was not even the best shortstop on his own team.
You can't deny that. I mean, Alex Rodriguez was clearly the better shortstop on that team.
With or without the juice. I mean, you know how I feel about juicing.
And it's not about Derek Jeter. We said from the word go, it's not about Derek Jeter not being a Hall of Famer. He 100% is a Hall of Famer. But as the all-time greatest shortstop, he's not the all-time greatest shortstop. And he 100% is overrated because he played in New York.
Yes.
You have somebody like Robin Yount. Thank you for reading my mind. You have somebody like Robin Yount who never gets talked about. He won an MVP as a shortstop and won an MVP as a center fielder. And he played in Milwaukee.
If he were in New York,
talk about him.
If he were in New York, Robin Yount would be in that
Robin Yount
little
would be
room.
known as the greatest shortstop of all time. Same thing in Chicago. Look at Ernie Banks. Ernie Banks is known as one of the greatest shortstop of all time, yet he played majority of his career at first base.
Look, there's a Hall of Fame generally. There's the smelly part of the Hall of Fame for anybody who was the steroids. We know who they are. But then there's that special room that guys like that fit into, like Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron.
Right.
And Derek Jeter's not in that room. So that's just my point on it, and that's where I'll leave it. But we do appreciate you emailing us, and I hope you do it again.
There's a comment.
I said email, comment.
You also said letter.
And then I led you into Blue's Clues. Close the show.
All right, folks, you may see me with a Savannah Bananas jersey or sweatshirt pretty soon here. I'm
brought it up,
pretty excited. This blue sweatshirt may have to be mine.
It's good to be back.
It is
amazing.
It's amazing to see you're not dead. There's that. Mr. I refuse to go to the doctor. If you guys want to leave one comment on this show, let him know, hey, if you're all of a sudden breathing like you have water in your lungs, go to the doctor.
I actually did.
A week later. It
wasn't a
later.
Week. 5 days is not a week.
5 days is a business week, and it's long enough. Because you know what? That's what Jim Henson said, and he died from very treatable pneumonia. I lost one of my all-time favorite people already from pneumonia. I don't need to lose you from pneumonia as well.
You didn't. You came and checked, which I really appreciate you doing, by the way.
Well, because nobody could get a hold of you.
I couldn't talk. I still can't. My voice is still not back.
Dude disappears for 5 days, knowing he's deathly ill. Ken texts, by the way. can't talk, but we do have some. I know you apparently think that letters are still around, but you could have texted me and said, "Hey, I'm all right."
5 minutes ago.
I want people to comment to tell you need to go and get help and go to the doctor, because you would say the same thing to me, and I also probably would ignore the advice.
Thank you.
So that is
you are my son.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Exactly. It's a guy thing. But thank you so much for watching. Before we head out, do you have any last words?
That's it. Have a great week. Good to be back.
It is good to be back. You will see us post another video later in the week. We promise we're going to get back on the 2-time-a-week schedule. You may definitely, not may, you will see me with a Savannah Bananas shirt at some point in the near future. I am very excited for this. I may order it right actually this second. But I'll close out the show first. Thank you so much for watching. But wait, we are not done yet. And now we're done. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad.
Bye, everybody.